I'm Lynn.
I'm Amanda.
And
this is The Pursuit of Badassery, the podcast.
We're cutting through the fluff and cracking open what it really takes to build a business and life that you actually want.
No gurus, no gatekeeping, just real talk, big action, and the badass energy you need to scale and slay.
Some episodes, it's just us.
And sometimes we bring on powerful guests with stories that'll hit home.
Either way, this is not about playing small.
It's about going all in.
Let's get after it. Hey there, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda. Welcome to The Pursuit of Badassery, the podcast. Today we have another incredible guest with us. This is Aaron Hendon. He spent 30 years building businesses while quietly drowning in the anxiety. Sound like anyone you know? After realizing that the mind can actually be trained, everything changed. His book, How to Live a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World, gives people the tools to do exactly that. Because in life, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Aaron runs online cohorts, teaching people to train their brains for peace, clarity, and presence. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Amanda, thank you so much for having me. Lynn, I've been looking forward to this all day. I know it's early where you are, but for me, all day.
Yeah, time's irrelevant, but we're excited that you're excited. So tell us a little bit about you and how you started to navigate into the mindfulness and getting the shit off of your plate that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see. So I'm originally from New York, so I have a sort of an inbred, as a New York Jew, I have an inbred amount of worry and anxiety that just comes with the body. It just, my family had a slogan: things are never so bad they can't get worse. It was just always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Everything in my life, and I have a whole journey of going to art school and then waiting tables and then baking bread and opening a bakery and having a really successful business like that. And then leading ontological leadership programs for 30 years, training people in being of a leader, not just the actions, but the being of a leader. And then most recently for the last 13 years in real estate, not the least stressful industry you could choose. So a lot of areas of stress, a lot of areas of development, and I had been meditating on and off since about 20, so I'm 63 now. And so I've always had an interest in that. But it never really stuck, and it was not really something I was really committed to. Until a few years ago, when I was at a retreat with my wife, and I love my wife, with my best friend, and 28 years, and she's the best thing I got going. And 2 grown kids, they're healthy, they speak to us. That's good. Business is good. I'm a 6-figure real estate agent every year for 13 years. That's good. Check. All the boxes are checked, but I have this worry, the Jaws music, never stopping. Dun-dun. I was just made me crazy. And in a moment at this retreat, I realized this experience, this anxiety is completely inconsistent with my circumstances. This worry has got nothing to do with what's happening. And I realized that I was playing a game called Get Enough. Like, I'll stop worrying when I have enough. Then, and that's really the pursuit of non-badassery. That's the normal pursuit. Everyone's in that pursuit. That's the pursuit for ordinariness, just one more deal, just one more thing. Let me just get that. And that's how we wind up with so much on our plate. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is we think one more thing. That's going to be the thing that does it. And we can't say no to anything, and it builds up and makes it worse and makes it worse. And in that moment, I was like, okay, this is stupid. I don't need to play this game. And I started getting interested in a game called Training My Brain, agency of attention. Like, what am I going to put my attention on? I have a say about what I put my attention on. And I realized that's really what meditation is. And I revivified my meditation practice. And I got certified as a mindfulness instructor because I thought this would be a good thing to train my real estate team in. And I put together a 9-week training, and I put my real estate team through it, and they increased their sales by 160%. Meditating. Not new scripts, not new strategies, just calming down, getting present, rewiring their nervous system. And they increased their sales. I was like, oh, this is good. And that course that I put them through is turned into the book, How to Live a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World. And that's what I spend my time doing now, is working with really high performers that are afraid to give up their drive because they think that's the thing that makes them successful. And they're looking to break through that ceiling without killing themselves.
I love that. First of all, and you kind of breezed over it, but I do have to go back because it made me very hungry this morning about your business and opening up the bagel shop and selling it for $1 million and having an X amount of employees, et cetera, et cetera. So this has definitely been something that you've been, hopefully you're still making bagels and rye bread and all of that good stuff because anyway, I digress. It made me so hungry this morning. I'm like, I'm gonna have
just so you know, I have a tattoo. You can't see, but I have a tattoo. It says "Toast to live, live to toast."
Oh my gosh!
But bread. I do not like who I am around a loaf of fresh bread. I become someone. It's not healthy to be around.
That smell is my downfall.
I don't know. I feel like that's the essence of life. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
It is. It's
back to
anyway.
Back to the topic at hand. I do love the journey, and I love the realization moment. And when I was reviewing all of your stuff, and actually now hearing you speak about it, it's interesting because I was thinking about this earlier too. Is that there are so many of us, because we could take this from many angles, but I'm going to go with what you said, that and then, like that next thing. And really you took the searching outward, the allowing life to drive you, and like the unsatisfactory, because we're ungrounded within ourselves. We don't have that ability to be able to cultivate things from within inside in a way that's meaningful and directive and really in control of our own life. We're driven by external versus the internal, and making that switch, because this is something I did decades ago as well. Making that switch absolutely changes your trajectory in everything across the board, in my opinion, from business to health to happiness to, even the belonging sense, because it's coming from within. And I do, before we go into the numbers, because I love that you brought in the numbers and I was going to bring in the numbers too, is that how was that process of you going through that? Because it really is. And I can remember, it came in stages for me, but I remember like that first kind of dipping my toe intentionally into it. I dove in. I didn't dip my toe intentionally, but mine came from a health reason, but there is a reckoning that happens, and this unlearning, a lot of unlearning. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Some will say messiness of the process, some will say uncomfortableness, but like you do have to go through some of the shit to get to the other side, to be able to like really take that on.
Well, you're talking about when I started really getting into the meditation, when I developed.
Letting go of like that really transitional point. Yeah.
So, I like a couple of things. One is, it doesn't necessarily occur to me that from that moment in the retreat that it was messy, because that was a relatively clean break. And then things started to just flow. You know how like the universe just puts out the next step? You got to take one step, and then the universe lays the stone for that step, and then you begin to lift your foot, and then before your foot hits the ground, the universe lays the next stone down. And that's really sort of my experience since that moment. But up until that moment, gosh, everything from the bakery to not, just the multiple years of IRS debt, and multiple years. The bakery itself was one constant sort of struggle with finances. Like, can you hold your paycheck till after the weekend, kind of thing? Like Jimmy Stewart, It's a Wonderful Life. It really was like that in the business for a really, really, really long time. And so we've always had this sort of scarcity of finances around us until we started to get on top of it. But so there's been that kind of mess around that situation. But the thing that sort of preceded even the retreat was my business partner and I were looking at how to train our sales team. And this will loop back to the numbers, I think. As real estate managing broker, we have, it's sales. It's all sales. It's just, first of all, everyone's in sales. I don't care what people do for a living.
Agree.
You got kids, you sell them bedtime. Everyone sells, It's a really good book too. If anyone's listening, Daniel Pink's To Sell is Human. But there was this moment in my training with them where I turned to my partner and we had this training developed and I thought it was a really good training and we had run it for about a year and a half and it wasn't making the difference we wanted to make. They weren't increasing their sales. They weren't any happier. And I said, Christine, I don't know that I don't have anything to offer them other than they should just dial more. If they dialed more, they'd sell more. But I don't want to train them in that because I don't want to do that. I don't want to dial more. That's not really what I want to do. And there's a lot of training out there that teaches people how to dial more. There's a lot of resources for them to get that if they want it. I don't need to provide that. And so I was really at a dead end of like, I don't know what I can do here. I'm out of ideas till I started so I got back into meditation. I was like, okay, because every coach in the world talks about mindset. There's no coaches, there's no sales coach training, there's none that don't talk about how important mindset is. But I really honestly have yet to see one that says, here's the recipe. Do this and you'll have an empowered mindset. Do these actions every day, little by little, and you will wind up empowered. And I was like, there is something I can provide. And it's really been, I don't know that it's been smooth. I'm not, it's not like, well, look at me, money's pouring in. But, I know that I'm on the right track because every time I do one thing, the universe gives me 3 more things to do. So it's really, really useful. But yeah, to your point, if you're not willing to confront in yourself the parts where you are the source of the problem, there's just nothing to do. That was a big piece of the training that we had for people was, look, nothing happens to you. Nothing happens to you. You can't, people, I could go on and on. I could go off about nothing happens to you.
Same.
But if you're not willing to live that life, then, that's okay. You can be the victim forever. Really, most people are. It's not anything, that's again, a pursuit of ordinariness would be, this happened to me.
I want to push into that because
Sure.
I feel like this concept of pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional.
Yes.
I think a lot of people and a lot of entrepreneurs will argue with that's BS, but I know Lynn and I are all on that too,
Right.
because
Yes.
100% we believe that, but people love to sit in that victim mentality and that martyrdom. So convince them, how is that possible?
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, again, if you're committed to it, then I'm not going to convince you. You're committed to that thing happened to you. Good. You can only talk to someone who's willing to look and go, you know what? Okay. What do you mean? How not? Because so the Buddhists call it the 2 arrows. And the first arrow is what happened. Whatever. 50% of the deals in the United States disappeared off the table in 2024. That happened. That literally happened. Interest rates tripled and half the number of transactions happened in 2024 as 2025. Is 2023. And okay, that happened. Now, the second arrow is the story you tell yourself about the first arrow. You can't change the first arrow. You're not in the Fed. You didn't cause the pandemic and then the interest rates to be lowered and prices to go up and all the myriad of circumstances that had to happen to get that to go. But you damn well have everything to say about what you say about interest rates tripled. So, if a metaphor for that would be, look, is it raining? Yes, it's raining. Okay, so is it raining on you? It's not raining on you. It's just raining. It's not raining on you. It's just raining. If you go out in the rain, you'll get wet. If you live everywhere but Seattle, you'll get an umbrella. In Seattle, you don't get an umbrella. We don't do. That's how you know there's tourists in Seattle. They're the ones with the umbrellas. But then you deal with the rain. You don't have to stand out there and complain that it's raining, or certainly you don't have to stand out there and pretend it's raining on you. There's no advantage to that. Well, that's not true. The advantage to that is you don't have to take any actions you're not comfortable with. The advantages to complaining are vast. They're not near the advantages of not complaining, but they are familiar. The devil I know. I don't have to do anything to challenge myself. It is a cheap kind of intimacy. You travel. The easiest way to connect with someone at an airport is to complain about the planes. That's the easiest, cheapest kind of connection you can make. No one's sitting there going, wait a minute, we're going to get on an aluminum tube and we're going to fly halfway across a planet. And it's going to cost me less than it costs to buy a house. And and there's going to be 300, and no one's talking about the miracle that is. No. Let's focus on they're 15 minutes late and the Wi-Fi doesn't work. Yes, there you go. Now, because it's cheap intimacy. So there's all kinds of cheap advantages to complaining, but but that's all. You don't have to do that. That's the second arrow. Suffering is optional.
I've never connected with somebody complaining over the airplane. That's not, but I guess that's the makeup of an individual.
But that's an easy way to.
But you can imagine,
Yeah. No. I love that. I'm just reflective of.
Yeah.
But I get it, and I understand my own journey, and so, I love that analogy because you're correct that it is cheap intimacy. People love to get on that bandwagon, and depending on the kind of the makeup of one's mindset and belief system and patterns in which they explore that's more likely than not that the complaining aspect is going to connect over something different. So no, I absolutely love that. Do you feel that people are always a learned behavior, or do you feel like it's a little bit deeper, that people are holding themselves back or connecting on the victim mentality because of lack of awareness, or because of like it being the programming, and because of the fear, especially in sales? And we both come from a sales background too as well. So where do you feel that really kind of comes from, and how do you help individuals identify that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And the question itself is super important, that people reflect on that themselves. Go, where does this come from? Mm-hmm. Just even if they took the beat to ask themselves, call reluctance. I do work with salespeople about call reluctance. A lot of salespeople fear the phone. But just even that question, Lynn, taking the beat and going, okay, where does this come from? Begins to reveal something to the person asking the question, if there's real curiosity there. Because you can begin to see it's not circumstance dependent. So I think there's part of it. My answer to that is our brains are wired to have us survive. We're hardwired for survival, and our brains are really, really good at it. It's short-term thinking. It has us survive the immediate threats. And our brains are really good at it. Our amygdala, the fight, flight, or freeze, reptilian brain, call it a lot of different things, but it comes from the part of the brain called the amygdala, is super useful, and it developed over time, natural selection. The ones of us, our ancestors that saw the bush move and thought tiger and ran, got to procreate, and the ones that saw the bush move and didn't say tiger or didn't run, those got eaten. So they didn't get to procreate. So there's a healthy, useful history to that fight, flight, or freeze mechanism. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with you that you fear that. It's an important thing to get, that it's not a fault. It's not a bug. It's a benefit. It's a feature. Okay, it's a feature of the human being that we are loss avoidance, loss averse, negatively biased, all the cognitive biases that we're familiar with at this point: recency bias, confirmation bias, survivorship bias, anchoring. All of those are designed or evolved to have us make snap judgments that would most likely keep us safe. And they do. Call reluctance, the avoidance, the fear of rejection. Well, it's a deep-seated natural reaction to, I don't want to be left out of the tribe. I don't want to be confront. All that stuff is automatic. It's the machine. You have that response. Good. You're alive. That means you're breathing. Good for you. Good. Yay. So I think a lot of it is just simply mechanical. But that ability to take a beat and ask the question is really important and not mechanical. You've got to practice taking a beat, and which is why your work is so appealing to me, because it's all about slowing down for a minute. It's all about asking the questions, and it connects being a badass with slowing down, and that's not the normal connection. Normally, we think about badasses as hyper productive, ripping it all versus no. What makes me a badass is that I go a little bit slower, and I put a little more thought in it, and my actions are that much more effective, because you can train a brain to thrive. You're just not wired to thrive. You're wired to survive. But you can absolutely train your brain. And how you do it is you take that beat and you go, okay, now, wait a minute. What's this about? And you can modulate your breath, a breath pattern that will get you out of fight, flight, or freeze is 4 seconds in, hold for 2 seconds, exhale for 6. In for 4, hold for 2, out for 6. And you do that maybe 2 or 3 times, and it turns off your fight, flight, or freeze, your sympathetic, and turns on your parasympathetic. And all of a sudden, you can think. You don't have to just have thoughts. You can think, okay, what's the value I bring to this client? I don't have the sale already. If I don't pick up the phone, I don't have the sale. So the best spot is, so there's just a million things that happen when you take the beat and you ask the question you ask. So I think it's really smart.
Well, and then you're able to go into response mode, not reactive mode, and take control of this stuff. And so, no, we love that. And I do want to say, because we are high performers, but we're high performers in our own way, but we absolutely do that. Because I know that you have high performers, because I don't want people to think just because you take this breath that it takes away the high performance. No, it actually enables you to increase that. It
increases it.
Absolutely.
That's the myth that I really, out to eliminate from people, is that somehow mindfulness or operating this way is soft, or it's the opposite. Tim Ferriss, the guy who wrote 4-Hour Workweek, also wrote a book called Tools of Titans. I don't know if you're familiar. He interviewed 200 of the world's top performing athletes, billionaires, artists, top performers, best of the best. And he said 80%, the highest percentage of any common habit. He was looking for what tools and habits do these people share. 80% have a mindfulness practice. Okay, well, look, you can zig while they're zagging. Knock yourself out. Go ahead. You do it your way. But 80% of those people slow down. 80% have an occasion, an opportunity to take a breath and get present. Okay, that's not soft. It is soft, but it's not weak. We have this whole thing about soft skills. It's a problem. Soft skills come from the military, where they literally distinguished between hard skills, which were working with tanks and equipment, and soft skills, which was working with people. Soft things that are soft versus things that are hard. Literally, why they call them hard or soft. But of course, in hustle culture, soft is weak, soft is bad. I can't be soft. And I think it's even worse for women in a lot of ways, that women have to be hard, have to be even harder in the patriarchy, even have to work, even demonstrate how hard they are, even more so. It's tragic, frankly. It's just madness.
So you said 80% of the top performers have a mindfulness practice. So what do they understand that everyone else doesn't?
That you can train your brain to respond and not react. Exactly what Lynn said. You can actually train yourself so that you have a physiological opportunity to respond to a situation versus just react. That's the name of the game, is that you don't have to be trapped with the metaphor that I like is, you ever train a puppy?
Yes.
You put your puppy in a box. Everyone likes a puppy, right? Everyone loves a puppy. Puppy's job is to get out of the box. That's the puppy's job, right? Your job is to put it back in the box when it gets out. And you can't train the puppy to stay in the box if it doesn't try to get out. You can only train it to stay in when it tries to get out. So it's not even a problem when it tries to get out. You're like, okay, good. Now I can train you to get in. You're super kind to it. You're nice. And eventually you get a well-trained dog. You get your best friend, right? But most people don't take the time to train their brain in any way. They have a feral dog in their head that's constantly squirrel and on point, on at all times, waiting for the next threat. You don't know anyone who thinks their brain is their best friend because they haven't trained their brain at all. And you absolutely, without a doubt, can. Tell me how that's weak. Tell me how that would be a bad thing. No, I'm just going to go keep reacting.
Yeah.
Good for you.
First of all, I love that you answered Amanda in the simplest way, because we as humans complicate things, and we want to, and even myself, I'm super introspective, and I had to train myself to not go too internal, to not look too deep into the karmic reasons and the this and the that, which I still do, but there's a time and place for that. And because that was my messiness at, as I was going through stuff, is like, okay, I get it. I never sat in it, but to continue to dig deeper, like I can sit with it here, right? I don't have to accomplish everything all at once. And we often say that, things are simple, we make them complicated. And you just prove that. Like, it doesn't mean that it doesn't take effort to do this. It doesn't mean that there isn't focus and direction and time that is put into it. That is not at all what you're saying. You're just saying, listen, they take the time. This is it. How we navigate that really depends on how we show up, and like the people around us and the environment, and how we take control, how we take responsibility, etc. That can make it more complicated. But I do want to make that note, is that it can be as easy as making the decision, and then you put in the effort to make it happen. And that's where the steps are.
And we're talking 10 minutes a day. We're not talking, people, the other misconception about meditation is it's on a mountaintop for an hour a day or something, and you clear your mind of all your thoughts and you achieve bliss. And oh my God, shoot me now. No. Just no. 10 minutes, watch your breath, 10 minutes, get a guided meditation, do something for 10 minutes, then put the puppy back in the box. You're not going to lose the thoughts. Your job's not even to lose the thoughts. That's the Dalai Lama doesn't lose his thoughts when he meditates. That's not a thing. The thing is, you're going to be awake enough to put the puppy back, bring your attention back to the breath. And then you're going to make a shopping list. Then you'll bring your attention back to your breath. Then you'll finish the argument you had with that person online. And then you'll come back to your breath. And then you'll think about all the things in your business you didn't handle. So maybe you open your eyes and you write those down. And then you come back to the breath. And you're just... It's just a practice. It's just a discipline, but a discipline. And so again, I think this is one of those misnomers, or one of those mistaking soft for weak, because discipline usually has like this edge to it, like that. Okay. There's another kind of discipline that's doing something over and over and over again with an open heart and a willingness to learn. That's the definition of discipline I like. And it's how you learned how to walk. It's how you taught your kids how to walk. Every time they stand up on their chubby little legs and they fall, you cheered. Every single time. If they fell forward, you yelled to come in here, he's walking. every time they stood up and they wobbled and they fell, every time you stood up and you wobbled and you fell, someone cheered for you. Every time. And we don't have people that don't walk. There aren't like people that are like, I just failed at that. I'm a failure at walking. I like being carried. This is good for no one. And parents don't go, look, dude, you just fell 50 times. You're never going to be a walker. That doesn't happen either. Because all we have is an open heart and a willingness to learn, and we're going to do it over and over and over. But I have yet to meet the adult that has 1/100th of that grace for themselves when they're learning something new. Mm-hmm. What are you, nuts? Every attempt is worth celebrating. Every time you stand up and try something, it's worth celebrating. Every single time. That's not soft. That takes an immense amount of discipline, the kind of discipline I'm talking about, to not cave to, I'm a failure. I guess I'm just not good at this. No, that's just not a thing. It's not a useful thing. It's a thing. It's not a useful thing. It's definitely a thing.
So what's one non-negotiable practice you would have every business owner implement right now, today, after this podcast?
That they find a teacher to help them learn how to meditate. I'm a meditation evangelist at this point. I don't know what you both love so much that you hear other people talking and you're like, have to bite your tongue because all you want to do is go, but have you tried? Right. And for me, it's if I hear anyone, but have you tried meditation? So that's just for me. But I don't think it's reliable to learn how to do it on the apps. There's plenty of apps that you do it, but it's problematic because it's hard to get over the self-evaluation hump by yourself, because yourself is the one that got you on the app, and now yourself is going to have to tell you that it's working or not. And the self is the thing you're trying to quiet down. So the self isn't going to be like, yeah, it's all kinds of problematic. So there's my cohorts of teaching people in meditation are free. Every city on the planet has free meditation classes. Find a teacher, find some way, train your brain, and look at meditation like brain training. Stop looking at it like, oh, and start looking at it like, no, this is a most important organ I have. I wouldn't try and dance without taking lessons. I wouldn't do anything. I'm going to take lessons. I'm going to learn what it takes to get this done. And I'm going to keep doing it over and over and over and over. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth once and think, okay, now I got it. I don't have to brush my teeth again. You brush your teeth twice a day, every day, forever. And you don't think, oh, dental hygiene's a crock. I have to do this again with brushing my teeth. You never think that. So get meditation to be like brushing your teeth. That's my one non-negotiable. Hopefully, if you're not going to sit, I can't. If you're not going to practice, I can't. I don't have anything to talk to you about.
Well, we live in the land of meditation. I mean,
yes, you do. You really do.
And actually, we have a lot of monks. So I'm on a nonprofit board, and Amanda also comes and MCs the conferences. We have 9 to 15 a year in different topics, but in a couple of them, we have a set of monks, or they kind of rotate depending on who's in country still, that come in and they teach about it, and they teach about the simplicity of it, because obviously their life's journey and their choice, and we'll say their profession, is very different than a high performer in real estate or a coach or whatnot. And I love that you're talking about, using it to train your mind, to train, like it's just brain training. And they talk a lot about that too, and about different ways to use the breath and stuff. But and I love your advice to get somebody to walk you through it, especially with meditation. I mean, we're all from the States, and America especially is the land of yogis, fake yogis, right? Walking around in yoga pants and doing all of the things. And I understand what you mean, because there are times where you say bite your tongue. I hold my hand back because I just want to slap people sometimes. Yes. You're like, what is wrong with you? But that's with that being said, I do have one question before we start to close up, because we talk about we've talked about meditation and training your brain. We've talked about some of the numbers, because you talked about 160, I think, was closing, but you also had an increase in 85% in retention and even in referrals as well by teaching your real estate agents this, and within your own world first and then going outward. But I do want to ask, because, you know, we talked about the meditation part and, you know, just 10 minutes a day. And let's say somebody's doing that. You still have high performers who aren't performing at their highest potential. And so outside of them not doing the meditation, what would you say is one other thing what's one thing that's holding them back? Is it because you're going to have people who are going to say, okay, I'm doing the meditating, but I'm not getting to that level that I want to get to. So what would you say is another thing that actually is holding them back?
So it's a little hypothetical, right? Because everyone's different. So it could be something completely, so
underperforming.
Okay, so this could be a blanket statement, okay? And for people that don't understand how sales are increased by meditation, because those do seem like disconnected results, and this may be an answer to a high performer. So a couple of things are inarguable for me, that the only thing that produces results are action. Okay. No one's meditating and gold falls out of the sky. That's not this. Okay. I don't know what that is. That's not this. Whatever manifestation guru, blah, blah, blah. Great. Gold. No, that's not. Action produces results, and only action produces results. Okay. Then you only act on what you see. You can't act on what you don't see to act on. Right. If Roger Federer serves me a ball, I see duck. Get out of the way. A bullet. Roger Federer serves Rafael Nadal a ball. He sees, oh, Roger Federer's old. I can return that. What you only act on what you see to act on. And if your actions don't change, your results are not going to change, right? No one argues with that. Okay. So therefore, if you want new results, you need to take new actions. And if you're going to take new actions, you need to see something newly. You can't keep seeing the same things. All right, well, that's what meditation, that's what mindfulness is. It's allowing you to be present in the moment, in wonder, looking for you don't ever see anything newly when you're on automatic. You only see what you see. You hear the same things from your wife or your husband or your kids. You see the same things from your clients. This is the world of victimness. They're always like this. They're always like that. Why does it happen to me? You're not looking at this infinite array of possibility that you live in. You're going to get in an aluminum tube and fly in the air across the planet. What? Someone had to see something newly to have that happen. Do you understand? They had to see something other people didn't see. And meditation will allow you to see things newly. Now, so a high performer not performing could be a lot of different things, but it could just be they're not acting. They haven't yet found a place to come from that lights them up. That, there's a lot of stuff involved. This is a 45-minute conversation for something that, in the part of the world you're in, they've been engaged in this conversation for 4,000 years. So this is the lightest touch of that. But yeah, so it could just easily be they're not acting.
No, thank you. I want to pull a couple things out of what you just said, because I think it's important, and because we have a lot of people who are on here who are accomplishing all the things, like they feel like and we get this conversation or messaging a lot, like, I'm doing all the things, but I still feel like there's more and there's something. And you touched on a couple of things, which is something I believe in wholeheartedly and have for a long time. And we still can pigeonhole ourselves. So it wasn't just about the mindfulness and being present to open our mind up to be able to see things that maybe we didn't see before, but also, and Amanda and I talk about this all the time, like, and I am more of the woo-woo one. So like the manifestation, all of that, but yeah, things aren't going to drop out of the sky, blah, blah, blah. But it's that action. Like, we are hard on that action. And there's this cycle of putting and this is one of the reasons why we love to travel, and like be in different things. So we're also physically putting ourselves in different arenas to expand our ability to be able to sense new. And so I think like there are so many little nuggets in that little moment that you just took, because we see it all the time. And so I appreciate that, because even high performers can pigeonhole themselves, or we get back into a pattern, or we create a new pattern that keeps us in a certain arena. And so even if we're doing all of the things, we're not expanding the arena in which we're doing it in. And so you talked about that in essence as well. And so I love that point that you just made. And I want to make sure that everybody listening hears that, because it is
I also want to, I just want to make sure I didn't denigrate woo-woo or anyone. I mean, okay, just so you know, I have a cabin in the woo-woo woods, and I fly the woo-woo flag. And I'm just clear. It's aligned action that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Aligned action. And that aligned action, that next action will come when you let go of your trying to force the answer. When you really do let go of needing it, it shows up. But you have to authentically let go of needing it, which is always a trick. It's a very Zen kind of trick. I can only get the result when I no longer need the result. And then you get the result.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. So the high performer may just still be attached to a specific outcome and not willing to trust that the next action is the action that, praying is talking to God and meditating is listening. That's a good little framework to have it. So what's coming to you in meditation? What's your intuition? What's what's the next action that is aligned with who you are? There's all kinds of, like I said, this is a very rich, deep conversation that I adore. I love talking about this.
We'll be having more conversation. I do want to plant one more seed. I know Amanda has probably a last question. It's not just being attached to the outcome, but attached to the identity in which you think is for that as well. So there is that as well. I know that's
any attachment.
That's a whole other rabbit hole that we can go in.
Oh my God, I love it. Part one. Okay.
It is part one. And one of the things I love most about this, and this is completely on the opposite side of woo-woo, is that you said it yourself, that meditation isn't some soft thing that, that you flippantly dismiss, like, oh God, another meditation guru. And I went through my phase of, albeit a very short phase, of I'm going to go and meditate for an hour and a half with a bunch of yogis in a room and some guy who had a very beautiful accent, and he's going to tell me things, and like that's going to have some sort of epiphany. And it didn't work, because I was trying to put that idea of meditation into the foundation of my high productive life, and it didn't work because there was a disconnect there. It wasn't in alignment. And so I think that's a really important part when you're thinking of a high productive person, somebody who's in this real estate sales world, somebody who's an entrepreneur. It doesn't have to be that. It works for some people. Like if that's where you are in the world and that works for you, great. I'm not bashing your idea of meditation, but there is another type. There is another way to be mindful, and ultimately that's where you should start. Like don't think that it has to be this existential crisis journey that you have on a mountaintop. It doesn't have to be that. It can be something much more grounded and foundational in your life and actually work in your life. Because if it's not going to work in your life, you're not going to do it, no matter how good you think it works.
We have a whole session. I have a whole session just, enjoying your morning coffee as a meditation. Just, you're going to drink your coffee anyway. Good. Put the phone down, turn off the news, whatever passes for news. Just sit with your cup, feel the weight of the cup in your hand, the warmth of the cup, smell the aroma, notice the steam coming off it and the way the light hits it as it do that for 10 minutes. Just drink your coffee, taste it. Do that every day. That's meditation. That's training your brain.
Right there.
What's that?
So that's my love language right there. Now I want coffee.
I'm telling you, there is a meditation that will work for anybody. You just have to be willing to play around and let go of what you think it's supposed to look like and trust the universe for a minute. The universe wants you to win, man.
So Aaron, what's coming up next for you that people should know about?
Let's see. So my book is going to get published this quarter. I'm just going back and forth on cover design. I'm very excited. How to Live a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World. And it's attached to a cohort. I think I actually want to put a new little bit in the preface that the book is something of a Trojan horse that, great, buy the book, but I don't want people to think the book itself is going to do it, because the person reading the book is the person that really wants the transformation, and the transformation is not going to happen that way. Your blind spots are already, so do the cohort that goes with it. It's a 9-week, 1 hour a week on Zoom. And again, it's free. I'm not attached to that. It's pay what you want. It's sliding scale. So some people do it for free. Some people pay. But that's next, is the book gets released, and I'm very excited about that.
We are too. I'll be sure to grab it.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we understand the going back and forth with the cover. Been there, done that.
Yes. Right. Like,
so
I laughed at my designer. She was like, dude, I can't send you any more covers. You have to stop. This is not getting anywhere. And I was like,
actually,
oh my God.
our first book,
the guy that talks about trusting the universe is now freaking out about this. I should chill out.
it's part of the process, but
It
the
is.
same, we did the same on our first one. So we understand wholeheartedly. All right. Well, we'll definitely put all of the links below. So make sure that you check them out. Please make sure that you give Aaron a like and a follow across all the platforms. We have all of those links below as well. Grab his book once it comes out. And if you're listening to this podcast after the book, go ahead. Is it being published on Amazon?
Yeah, I'm going to sell it on Amazon, my site. They can go to aaronhendon.com and they can find out all the details. They'll all be there when they're ready.
Excellent. We're excited for that.
Me too.
All right. Any last nugget you want to leave our audience with?
Yeah, slow down. There is no prize for getting through it faster. And the it is life. There's just no one ever got on their deathbed and thought, I can't believe I saw all those soccer games of my kids. It's never been a thought. Slow down. This is your life. Enjoy it.
Make sure that you're hitting subscribe if you aren't already subscribed to our podcast, The Pursuit of Badassery. And if this resonated with you and you feel like somebody else needs to hear it, go ahead and give it a share and tag your person in it. We love it.
Make sure you're scrolling all the way to the bottom to grab Aaron's information. And until next time,
get after it. Thanks for tuning in. But remember, listening is not doing.
Take what you heard today and move.
Share the episode, leave us a review, and tag us when you take action.
Head over to thepursuitofbadassery.com and see how we're helping entrepreneurs get results without the fluff.
Until next time,
Let's get after it.